Hello everyone! Isn't it amazing when you build a drone with the latest technology you just acquired, Walksnail, avatar for me in this case, and on the second day after flying the drone you do something silly. Like, it's not really something silly, you did it 20 times before, but the 21st time you do it, this happens. So yeah, this drone spent roughly 10-15 minutes underwater, like half a meter deep down under groundwater. It's a bit corroded, a bit rusty, so let's take it apart. What's important is when I pull this out of the water, I already unplugged the battery underwater, and this is something you should definitely do if you crash underwater, because water becomes a problem mainly once you are out of the water. You are still on a battery, you're still running electricity through the circuits, and well, yeah, so you can see the damage is not too bad. There's some rust around the screws of the Avatar VTX, there's some moisture on the FC, which some of it is just leftover flux from soldering it earlier and not cleaning it down properly. But yeah, there's quite a lot of visible water damage, rust, corrosion. Okay, let's take the drone apart. Let's start by disconnecting the VTX from the FC and removing it from the frame. First of all, I'm going to remove the antenna connector and the antenna so it's not in the way later, and also so I just don't forget about it and rip it out or something. So yeah, when we are here, let's also check the antenna for any water inside or any fogging or anything that can be caused by water, and surprisingly, as it seems, there's no water in the antenna at all, which is quite surprising. But yeah, I'll take it. That's a lucky one. So let's remove the VTX from the frame. I have 4 little standoffs, plastic standoffs, so probably some people would be really against this, but I like them for mounting my VTX on. I never had a problem with any of them breaking or something, and I had some really bad crashes. So now that I've removed the VTX and the camera, let's take a closer look at them. There's quite a bit of rust and stuff. Yeah, first I'm gonna disassemble them completely, take the standoffs out, and now we can take a closer look. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of rust on the mounting holes, on the screw holes, both on the camera, both on the VTX. Yeah, so if this would be an analog system, I would probably take it out of the water, give it a good shake, and then fly it around in really high speed, so just to dry it out. But this is literally my second day with the Avatar VTX, so I decided to take it completely apart, give it a complete clean, and yeah, I would recommend this definitely every time you crash your drone. And if it's not conformal coated, it's not waterproof, then you should always take it apart and give it a wipe. So now I removed the VTX from its casing and disconnected the camera. I'm gonna wipe off all the thermal compound, the thermal paste from both sides of the motherboard, from all 4 chips that it's on, so I don't mess up everything. Yeah, if you ever built a computer or installed the cooling on a computer, you know how much hassle it is to get out the thermal compound from everything, because it just sticks and makes everything ugly. It's not a problem if it sticks on the motherboard really, as it's non-conductive, but you're just not gonna be able to see the actual circuits and diagnose if there's anything wrong with them. So I'm doing a really thick bath in alcohol, basically making sure that alcohol gets in everywhere, because our point is to push the water out with the alcohol, and then the alcohol evaporates, or at least mix the alcohol with the water so it will evaporate some more, but mainly just to push out the stuff. so the camera is in a pretty rough shape as well. There's a lot of rust on those screws, and it made me really surprised. Oh, I got some thermal compound on my hand just after mentioning it. So where was I? So I'm going to be really surprised when these screws come out and I take off the back cover, because the board looks almost untouched. I literally couldn't see any kind of rust or water damage on the board, but I still gave it a little brush with the alcohol and the toothbrush off camera. But yeah, I tried to take it apart, force it more, but the lenses were glued on. The board, I think, as well glued on, so I was assuming it's just waterproofed from that point, and this is the reason I can't take it out without like forcing a blade in or something. It's probably just glued together with the housing. So yeah, it's super clean. This is before the cleaning, and it's just super nice. So yeah, let's plug the VTX cable back into the camera. Let's try it again. So yeah, let's plug the VTX cable into the camera and then connect it all up, like push it in with the end of the... I use the end of the pliers. It's better to use some hard plastic tools, but I didn't have any hard plastic tools on me, so I used the metal plier. It's never a good idea to use sharp metal objects on circuitry or working on circuitry. But yeah, sometimes I do things like this. I don't really follow the guidelines. I'm just cleaning off the rust from the plastic back cover, so it won't get back on the screws. Then I will grab the screws, drench them in alcohol, and clean the rust of them as well. So all the screws that are going back nice and non-rusty, more importantly. And we don't want the corrosion to spread around and make the whole thing corrode, of course. But yeah, the camera is looking super nice. The VTX is looking fairly nice inside. Yeah, the VTX had a bit more rust on it and stuff. But yeah, let's clean the rust for the same reason of the VTX cover as well on both sides. And also let's clean the rust of the potential rust that's not really visible, but let's clean it off the antenna and the connector, the cable connector slot covers. So yeah, just in case they wasn't really looking rusty, but at this point I'm gonna do it, because why not? I really don't want VTX to die after 2 days. So I'm using Arctic MX5 thermal compound. This is the thermal paste I'm using for computers. I probably bought this tub like this syringe like 3-4 years ago, and I've been repasting my computer with this. I've been using it in other electronics as well, to repair other electronics and to replace thermal compound after changing a heatsink or something. And the same method for connecting the cable, now pushing it in with a finger and then using the end of the pliers to secure it and completely push it in. Really, you should use a hard plastic tool for this, any hard plastic tool, but not a metal, and then gently place and then slowly push the board inside of the cooling, what is it called? The cooling area, not cooling area, the passive cooling, or yeah, the sink, radiator sink, heat sink. Yeah, I'm not so good with words now. So yes, after I applied my thermal compound, which is not too perfect, this is probably one of my worst thermal compound appliances ever. Like, I built so many computers and I still didn't get this right. I still got some on the board. Well, it happens sometimes, but honestly, when I work with my own stuff, I don't care. Like, I don't really care. I don't pay that much attention. I'm just trying to rush through the process. If I work on someone else's stuff, even for free, I like just have so much respect for other people's belongings than to mine, and I'm just like way more perfect. So the VTX is back together and the camera. Let's put the cover back on. And yeah, it's just I was just really surprised how much the VTX survived. It was underwater, plugged in, and under electricity for like 15 minutes, and there was barely any rust on the inside, which was surprising. Now here's the rest of the drone. The receiver I'm actually not gonna bother with. I looked inside I with a light. I didn't see any water drops anywhere. I wasn't gonna cut it apart because it's not a high power part, and yeah, it's just I don't see a lot of problem that water will cause in there, even if there's a little bit. So the receiver remained untouched. So I'm removing the FC now. I'm trying to get that ribbon cable out, and yeah, there's our ESC, which seems really nice too. There doesn't seem to be too much rust or corrosion on it. Actually, the bottom part of the EFC I didn't clean down with a toothbrush in the end, because I didn't want to take out the motors and everything, so this was just supposed to be a quick clean. So I'm doing the same as I did with the VTX, drench it in alcohol and toothbrush it really well as I can, to get rid of any kind of corrosion or like the start of corrosion. I'm not sure what's the corrosion or what's the name of it, and like it turns like the white fluffy stuff. No, it's not mold. I'm not sure. It appears before the actual corrosion hits in. Yeah, I know what I'm talking. I have some idea what I'm talking about, but I don't know the actual words I should use. That's interesting. So yeah, the FC is going back after brushing both sides of it, and the drone is basically ready to be reassembled, I believe. As everything I wanted to clean, I cleaned. I did clean the motors prior to this video, just with water, just running through water through them and spinning them. Yeah, your motors are waterproof, by the way, so yeah, you shouldn't be afraid of getting water in the motors. The coils inside the motors are completely isolated from the outside. If it wouldn't be, your motor would burn down, basically. Yeah, so the whole wire that is coiled up on the motors are all waterproof, as well as your batteries. All your lithium polymer batteries are waterproof until they catch on fire, or like, yeah, as soon as you expose them to oxygen, the insides of them, they will explode or smoke out or something. So yeah, they must be waterproof if they are batteries and they still work. Yeah, so let's mount that VTX back from the bottom on those little plastic standoffs. Perfect. Oh, I already plugged it in. Yeah, and just tidy up the cables a little bit, then get the camera installed, which I'm doing upside down because I don't have enough space under the camera to have the wire coming out. So what I do is I mount the camera upside down, and then I just fix it inside the avatar VRX menu. So you can just flip the camera, but every time you plug the drone in, the first time you get the picture, the camera will be upside down, and you have to wait like 5 seconds for the goggles to flip it back the right way. Sometimes I mess around a lot with these little silicone inserts, like the camera mounting inserts, and then for what at the end when I get prop wash and resonation too. But no, I know that's a PID tuning thing, so I should just do a proper tune on this drone, and then it will probably fly perfectly. And the motors are barely getting warm ever, so I have a lot of wiggle room there to feed them some more crazy PID gains. Yeah, so now that everything is all together, before putting the top plate on, I'm gonna plug in the drone with the smoke stopper, of course. After working on it, especially when you work and rush on it. The VRX is plugged into my TV in the background. So now I'm just waiting for this holy word and any kind of life, and there it is. The camera is connected to the VRX and it works. honestly, if I would have taken the drone out of the water and I would have connected it up, it would have worked as well. So this is not the final this is not the final like proof that it works and that it's cleaned properly. Only time will tell. So yeah, I'm gonna fly this around for a couple of months. If there's no problems in the next couple of months out of nowhere, then I probably did well. If there's problems that could be related to this water damage, then I probably did bad. But yeah, the video system works. Now we know that. Now let's give it a little test hover as well before taking it out, just to make sure that all the other electronics are put back properly with the receiver and everything, and it looks fine. It hovers completely great. It does exactly what I'm telling it to do. And now it's gonna push my plate into my face. Thank you. Yeah, it's a bit strong. So yeah, our build is done. It's ready to fly. It's cleaned out completely, and hopefully it will stay working. So here's a test flight. This is the first time I went out to fly this in not like huge wind. There was huge wind since I got this system and since I installed it, and I only had like 10 minutes to fly every time. So this is the first time when I'm flying it without any time pressure or like a huge like hurricane level winds. So yeah, it is really great, the avatar system, the Walksnail avatar system. This is the actual DVR you are seeing now. So I've flown out to like 800 meters here, and I was on full maximum signal. I couldn't even like didn't even know what to do. Like my signal wasn't getting bad. My signal level was keeping on 25 megabits, so my bandwidth. Yeah, so I just turned back, and yeah, you can see just me flying around trying things in this little clip. But yeah, I've flown 10 batteries after this. Oh, 10 batteries flown perfectly. I crashed the drone once, nothing serious. I just got stuck in a tree. I got it out. Yeah, nothing really interesting about it. But yeah, I really like the avatar system. The only drawback is obviously the latency. I've been flying analog since I started this, and the latency for now is just too much for me. So now that I went out and flown 10 batteries with it, by the end of the 10 batteries I got used to the fact that I can just use my analog muscle memory in situations without actually seeing the reaction of the drone. I can still do the quick motions. I just have to like train my brain to expect it coming later than I do, because on an analog, as soon as you touch the stick, it's immediately on the picture, it's immediately moving on the picture. Here there's a very, very distinguishable delay compared to analog. But I believe after flying 10 batteries I already got very familiar with it, and I believe if I just keep flying this system I will be able to fly proper freestyle moves with it without constantly crashing because of the latency. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave this DVR footage on for the rest of the video. But my conclusion is that I pretty much fixed the drone. It's not gonna break now. I don't see any reason why it would break now. If the receiver starts to corrode or something, then well, I can clean it or replace it for cheap. If the ESC would be corroded, I would probably have seen some signs of it. I actually like looked at the bottom part of the ESC through the frame and shining in from the side with a light, and the ESC seemed completely fine on the bottom, so I didn't bother with cleaning it. Yeah, I'm actually was really surprised how the whole drone was just so clean after the crash, and barely any corrosion after it spent 10-15 minutes underwater. I was just walking in the water with my hands in the water as well, looking around on the bottom if I can find the drone. Yeah, it wasn't fun. But yeah, probably I should do a conformal coating next, but I probably won't. I will just do the same process again if I if I get underwater for a longer time. But I'm less paranoid about damaging the VTX so easily. Yeah, this Walksnail VTX looks like it's built out of proper materials and stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Remember, if you crash into water, the first thing you have to remember, you don't need to rush if the drone is completely underwater. If it's partially underwater, I would rush and run and pull it out. If it's fully underwater, then you don't have to rush it. You can leave it in for 10-15 minutes and then just make sure you unplug the battery underwater before you pull it out. It's not going to shock you or electrocute you or anything. Just do it that way. And yeah, this is pretty much it. The DVR is already over. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments or anything to say about my processes, of course I'm not a professional, I'm just showing you my way of dealing with water damage or landing in the water. So if you have anything else to say about my methods or anything else about the video, then leave a comment. Any questions, leave a comment. Thank you for watching this video. I was B, and see you the next time.